Shalom, y'all. Shalom. Shalom, your boy Michael Israel here. Got another early morning lesson. Okay. Shalom, y'all. Shalom. Shalom. It's your boy Michael Israel. Getting ready to get started here. Another early morning lesson. Quick lesson. It's gonna be a heavy lesson. You know. And we'll be getting started here soon. Shalom. Shalom. As you can see, the title of the lesson is Male and Female Roles, Society versus the Bible. Okay? So it's going to be a good lesson. Still happening on the internet. The enemies are cackling, the blind leading the blind right into the reckoning. But ain't no glory in forming weapons against your brethren. Or we gon' come together or perish because of foolishness. Sell drugs, pop slugs, that's pretty damaging. It helps them, not us. Our own worst enemy. Divided in the hood, oppressed. We got no synergy. Work then retire and die. We got no energy. But this is just a sample of dirt. In God's words, we astronomers. Proverbs and bywords. We should focus on the law and the glory of His word. Cause the teachers and the doctors of men is absurd. All praises to the Most High. It's our story. It's our story. Yeah. Read the book and it won't lie. For His glory. For His glory. Yeah. Just part one, man. Part two on the way. All right, shalom, y'all. Shalom, y'all. Shalom. It's your boy Michael Israel here. We're getting ready to get started with this lesson. And as you can see, the title of it is Male and Female Roles, Society versus the Bible. Okay, and I'm sure some of y'all, if y'all followed me, I'm sure some of y'all have heard me talk on this before. And it's something to become acutely aware of. Okay. And is that since the very beginning, let me see. Just sharing things, trying to get started quick. But since the very beginning, there has been one of the main things Satan seek to do is to undermine us is by relationships. Okay. He has and the thing is, nothing has changed since then. Okay. He does the exact same stuff now. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to share something, and this thing is just acting crazy. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, since the very beginning, he has seeked to turn things completely upside down. And he didn't come at the man. What did he do? He came at the woman and used the woman to deceive the man. And so he's always when you look at one of the basic general common themes through the Bible is him seeking to turn what God has set up completely upside down, backwards. Okay, that's one of his tactics. Okay, um, so you read that in Genesis, you read that all through the Bible, all through the scriptures and everything, and you simply now you go and you look at society today, and that's what you see. Okay, that he's turning he's consistent with his deception and wickedness, and that's how the Bible warns you. So when you look at relationships today, men, male female relationships, male female roles, you see the exact same thing today. And when you look in the Hebrew Israelite community, when you look in the Christian community, you see the exact same thing. People not taking the scriptures for what they say, but turning things upside down. Okay. Like, and one of the things I see is, folks take are you'll see where the Bible clearly outlines roles, responsibilities, and for men and women all through the book clearly, but folks will take one verse and make a doctrine out of it to turn that thing upside down. Okay, and for me, because I've done extensive studies in relationships, and not just studying it, but been out there and done it and applied it and applied the stuff that the word says today, and so I've been out there. So I don't just. It's not about me just reading the Bible and saying, oh, and doing a bunch of research and word studies and ancient Hebraic twist and stuff and history studies. I do that with it, but then I've applied it. I know it works right out there. I've seen the stuff. So what happens is I'll read something or watch something somebody's teaching where they're subtly trying to twist the word upside down, manipulate the power hierarchy that's clearly lined out in the Bible, and the roles and responsibilities and all that are set up for man and for woman. And I see where they're subtly trying to twist it, and I know that does not work. Just from the application of it in my life, from counseling and interviewing. And when I say interviewing, when I start talking to somebody and their relationship stuff comes up, I just ask a couple certain questions. You know what I'm saying? I've done this hundreds, maybe thousands of times, just talking to people, and consistently I get the same answers. And to make it real simple, when the man's not acting like a man and the woman's not acting like a woman, when the man's not operating in his biblically masculine role and the female is not operating in her feminine role, the relationship is a disaster or non-existent. The people don't get in relationships. Okay? So a lot of people twist scripture to their own hurt, to where they've been hurt at. Like, there was some stuff I had to face about myself that I was like, ugh, it could be tough sometimes. Sometimes you got to face stuff about yourself in sections, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to slowly go in on it because there's deep hurts. Satan, I always say, like, the hurt that our women are dealing with today, men don't understand it. And then to add on top of that hurt that these women have been hurt by men in, the men are like, oh, forget him, man. Let me go mess with somebody else. And they're talking against the sisters. And, oh, these women are difficult to deal with. Forget him. Let me. And they'll go get a sister from another nation who's not under those curses just to avoid having to deal with stress in their life. When the reality is, real talk is, the only people who gonna fix us, only people who gonna help our sisters work through the hurt is us as men. We gotta man up. I don't beat men down and be like, oh, you bad, shameful man. It's y'all's fault. And I don't just leave it at that. I say, yes, at the end of the day, the burden of responsibility does lie on the man. But the man has to step in his role as the leader, take that power from the woman, and lead her righteously according to the Most High's word. Okay? That's the part everybody wants to leave off, is that man stepping back in that position of authority and acting in that position of authority according to righteously, in a righteous, balanced, masculine way. Not macho boy, dictator, and all that, but leading righteously with wisdom, being patient with wisdom. Patience doesn't mean pushover. Patience does run out, and sometimes you need to step up and put a woman in check, absolutely. But being patient, being able to deal with frustration as a man and let a lot, because I deal with a lot of men who just get real frustrated and they can't handle frustration because they got a feminized spirit on them. So they can't deal with frustration and it shakes them up. So it's about our men stepping into that role, that biblically masculine role. Same thing with the sisters, okay? Because I know everybody like, yeah, Mike, preacher, Mike. Same thing with the sisters. Stepping out of that masculine role that this society puts you in and letting go into your feminine role. It's hard when a woman has to take responsibility for everything and step into a masculine role, which a lot of our sisters are forced to do because, what happens, they get into relationships with men who, for whatever the reason is, and what it all, a lot of times what it boils down to is, like the lesson I do, hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. Yeah, so what happens a lot is, for one of the three reasons, but the man's not walking in biblical masculinity. The sisters failed to identify it. They failed to have like a head who could help them choose a man and everything like that. But for whatever reason, sisters by themselves, they have to step into the role of mother and father. And when a woman has to step into a masculine role, she loses her femininity. And that's not healthy for them to walk in, and they're not truly content with themselves. Okay? So things get out of balance. I say it all the time, that the statistic, half of our sisters have been raped or molested by the time they're 20. That has a big effect. You have some of our sisters who it does something to them, man. And I don't know the extent of this. I will in the future, but I know a lot of sisters, they don't want to be with a man anymore. There was a video about lesbian women and how certain lesbian women, because of what's happened to them, they don't want any type of penetration from a man or anything at all. It does something to your spirit, that type of stuff. And to the men too. Because what you're going to find, I know I talked about in my other video, that dude Irritated Genie, man, if you ever get a chance, look him up. He's like he's in the black conscious community, but he's different from all those other people out there. Irritated Genie did he's big on, he hates homosexuality and pedophilia and molestation, all that stuff. He fights hard against that. And you know, and some Hebrew brothers have done some like seminars and stuff with him because he's so adamant about this thing. And he did one show about molestation, man. People were calling in, and it was a lot of brothers calling in, and it was, I mean, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I did not know. That's the best way I could put it, man. It was crazy. So what I would say, there's just as many men out there dealing with this thing and turning into feminized men, turning soft. But going back to the title of this show, like the sister put in there, self-inspection is the worst. The reason you see people twisting things in the scripture when it comes to male-female roles is because to really face your own hurt and to really face yourself hurts. It's hard. That's a hard thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So what they'll do is just kind of subtly begin twisting scripture and to fit their hurt. But then when somebody like me sees that doctrine, sees those little twists, to me it's very obvious because I know what works in a relationship as far as roles. You know what I'm saying? As far as the role that man has to walk in, as far as the role that woman has to walk in. And so a lot of times when somebody's saying something, I'm just like, hey, wait, that doesn't work. Like a man has to act like a man in order for a woman to be attracted to him. Like Paul has a what look like the verse, Paul, he says, I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over a man. And then a lot of people say, oh, that's only to, the church he was writing that to. And I'm like, wait, hold on. So you're saying that where Paul said, I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority above a man. So you're saying a woman should usurp authority over a man. Because if you look at what Paul referenced that to, he was like, because the woman was first deceived, not the man. So he actually referenced it back to Torah. Now, a brother broke it down to me yesterday, and I agree with him that women can teach. And in the capacity, they can teach the man, but not coming from a position of authority. So you look at like Joyce Myers, where she runs the church. You know what I'm saying? You look at a lot of these women, they say, hey, I'm a prophetess. But when you look at their fruits and their actions, they're operating in a position of a pastor, basically. When you look at their actions and what they're actually doing. And so here comes a man, he brings his wife and his kids into that church, and this so-called prophetess is over them. You see what I'm saying? So it's the capacity that they're operating in. Hey, shalom, Brother D. Brew. Shalom, Sister Monica, Brother Zaria, and Brother Irvin there. And shalom, Israelite Gifts on YouTube. But, and I see you put some comments in there, so let me read them. Tried the masculine thing, don't like it, but learning to be more submissive. America has really helped mess us up. And that's what people don't realize, is that, like, the brainwashing. People don't think that, like, if you don't think you're brainwashed, you're brainwashed. I know I've been brainwashed, and I'm still working on getting it all up out of there. And it's heavy. And it takes a strong man to stand there, stand in the gap, and not give in to that in a lot of areas as a leader. Okay. Yes, I didn't trust men for a long time. And the way to learn to trust men, or if you're a man, the way to learn to trust women is you got to understand them. You got to understand what you did wrong around that man you didn't trust, as far as what you missed, what you weren't looking at concerning him, the signs of an untrustworthy man. You got to learn all this stuff. And then once you've learned and you're educated, you let go of the bitterness, and then you understand how the thing works. And then you could go in and begin to have fruitful relationships. So it's going through the pain, sorting through it, looking at where you messed up at, where they were messed up at, how it all went wrong, learning what's right, and then going and then reinserting yourself and going back into relationships and have fruitful relationships. But nobody teaches you this. They just play on your hurt and say, "Oh yeah, you're a man too. Like y'all similar roles," and twist the scripture instead of helping you go through the pain. A woman shouldn't teach men openly. At least that's what I get from it. And sister, that's what the one of my brothers, who he's like an elder to me in the scriptures, he was breaking that down to me last night. He was saying in what capacity, and why. And you just have to see the fruits. Like when you look at these look at these situations where these women are in these positions where they're calling themselves so-called prophetess, and they're in that role that could be categorized as them being a teacher. Look at that. Or they're in that role as a prophetess, but they're really operating as a teacher or a pastor of a church. But they just put the title, the word prophetess, in front of their name so that they can justify it. But look at the results of those ministries. A lot of men who have been feminized or emasculated, and a lot of women who have been masculinized, they'll play into the role, well, oh no, I'm just staying single. But no, if that's happening, so if they're just playing into that role, hey, I'm just being single, that's where it got me now. They're not saying the real thing. Hey, I've been hurt and I don't know how to get back into a relationship with a man, or I've been hurt, I don't know how to get back into the relationship with a female, or whatever. They're not being honest with themselves. Because the reason I say that is, if you've been hurt by a man, molested or raped or some ugly breakup, he cheated, whatever, why is that so consistent? Every time you see that hurt, you always see a single woman there. There's a reason for that, because there's undealt with hurt, unforgiveness. There's stuff that needs to be worked through that's being pushed under, you know what I'm saying? It's being pushed under the rug. It's being swept under the rug. And it has to be brought out and be dealt with. Otherwise, it results in this, you just twisting stuff and putting this weird stamp on top of it. So you said a woman shouldn't teach men openly. Okay, you're right. And it's the Jezebel spirit. And that Jezebel spirit is just a masculine spirit on a woman. That's what it is. Okay? Is it, and it's something that needs to be made aware of, be brought to awareness. Okay? So yeah, absolutely. That's what that is. But yeah, so that's that's something to be brought to awareness. But anyway, like I said, a quick lesson today. I'll be elaborating on it more with a whole bunch of scripture. I'll show you all the scriptures that get twisted all the time in another lesson. But that's going to wrap that up. I got to get to work. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And with that said, shalom, y'all.